Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I'm a bit chilly today actually. I've just come in from outside and it's definitely getting a little bit more wintry day by day. Dry but colder. Anyway, yeah, I thought let's have a little chatty catch up. We're into that season, aren't we, where it's going to be more chatty than anything else because, well, we're all starting to hibernate. My hibernation started in October this year, I think. A bit on fuel bills in a minute, but I've just been out to do my weekly shop. It's only, I've written things down, there we go. It's a tiny, tiny shop this week. I only really needed one thing, and it's something that I'm so frequently asked about. I thought I'll show you. So because I only needed one thing, I thought I'm going to give myself a little treat this week, but not too much. The pennies are getting a bit pinched at the moment. I'll explain why in a second. But yeah, I have given myself a treat. Can you hear? Crinkle, crinkle. I'm looking at the price. I got myself a pack of crumpets. 45p from Lidl, which in the US that's... Is it really 86 cents? That's, no, 56 cents. Now, these ones from Lidl are really cheap at 40, what did I just say, 45p. Most crumpets are double that, easily double that. So, you know, all the branded ones like Warburton and even things like, there's a little Tesco by me and they're about £1 for Tesco's own. So yeah, a naughty little treat. Toasted, a little bit of butter. I've got a bit of jam left over, so I maybe some jam. Lovely with a bit of cheese on the top. I haven't got any cheese though, so yeah, but butter. This is definitely hibernation food. So I'm going to get one out actually, because oftentimes folk in the States, they're like, what are crumpets? What are they? Is it like muffins? No. Now, they're quite, I don't know if you can get a sense of this, they're almost rubbery, but can you see that they're full of crumpet face? They're full of little holes. I can't remember what creates the holes, it's probably bicarbonate or something like that. But oh my goodness, and then flat on the bottom, they're such a lovely British tea time treat. And like I say, yeah, just with a bit of, so you toast them, warm them up a bit, just ever so slightly brown them in the toaster, and then either butter on, well, yeah, butter, de rigueur, and it kind of goes into the holes and it goes all melty and drippy and gorgeous. I love them also with honey on the top, and then the honey goes into the holes, it's all drippy and gorgeous and oozy, or jam, or, as I learned, let me just pop it away again, I shall have a couple of these at lunchtime, don't mind opening them for that. Yeah, as I learned, I don't know, was it 2-3 years ago, over at Richard and Paul's one time, and yeah, afternoon tea was crumpets, but with cheese on the top, and then pop them back under the grill to just slightly melt that cheese a bit. Oh my goodness, gorgeous. I couldn't believe what a fantastic combination it was. So yeah, for 45 pence, a lovely treat, and it's, yeah, it's definitely, we're definitely getting into hibernation food territory now, aren't we? So, and then the other thing I bought, this was actually what I needed to go and buy. So this, for me, this is my weekly shop, done and dusted in one item, with the crumpets as an extra treat. Stock. Folk are always asking me what stock do I use. So the make is Marigold. It's just called Bouillon. Instant vegetable stock powder. The one in the purple container is the reduced salt one. You know, there's salt in the veggies. I don't need to be adding extra salt. Now, I've only bought the little one. It's much more expensive to buy it via the little one. The next size up is the equivalent, I think, of about 4 times this. Or you can buy it in, you can actually buy it in a kind of like a big tub. It's about 20 quid. So this is the most expensive way of buying it. It's not the most, well, I was going to say it's not the most economical. It's the least economical way of buying it. But I get this from my health food shop, and they only had one of the big tubs on the shelf. And the best before date was February next year. So we're right towards the end of November now, December, January. The best before date is 3 months. And I don't think I'd get through a big tub in 3 months. So I bought the little one for now, and then when this runs out, hopefully they'll have new stock in, I'll get the big one. So this one costs, I don't know if you can make it, there we go, £2.49. I haven't done the dollar price for that, I've done the dollar price for the reduction. However, I get 10% off because I'm a loyal customer over the years. So I paid £2.24 for this. In dollars, that's $2.80. So yeah, this size is not economical. The bigger one, I made a note, is £7.50 to everyone else. With my 10% off, that makes it £6.75, which is $8.46. So for £6.75, in other words, for 3 times the price, I get 4 times the amount. In other words, it's like buy 3, get the 4th one for free. So yeah, it's much more economical. The bigger, the bigger, the bigger. In fact, the really big tub size, I did work it out. I think it makes it's something like, never mind the little size, but the bigger size I normally have, if I bought the tub, it would make it like, it's £20 instead of 25. If I was buying tubs, it would be 25 quid. Sorry, if I was buying cartons, it would be 25 quid. If I buy the big tub, it would be just 20 quid. But I don't think I'd get through it. However, it's one of those occasions, isn't it, where you could think, especially if there are 3 or 4 of you and you live kind of close to each other and you all use it, so buy the big tub between you and then divvy it out amongst yourselves. Bring that price down. Brilliant. So yeah, I'm stocked up on stock again. Will that last? I'm not sure whether that will last me the 3 months, but the big one certainly would go beyond the 3. Anyway, that's the one I got. So in total, my weekly shopping this week was £2.69. Yay! Or $3.36. Very happy about that. And then, whilst I was in the health food shop, on the counter they always have sort of free magazines and all sorts of bits and bobs. Usually it's promotions and what have you from some of the companies who make these foods. And this one came from Biona. I'm sure loads of you will be familiar with Biona. You may not have much of it in your cupboard, but you might have something like spelt pasta or maybe one of their sauces or what have you. But I saw this recipe booklet and I thought, oh, I'll grab that. Let's have a little looky, see what's in there. Oh my goodness. Honey mustard Brussels sprout slaw. Oh, Brussels sprouts will be in soon, won't they? I can't wait to have my first Brussels sprouts of the season. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Then there's a gorgeous looking beetroot Wellington. So obviously these are all kind of like, special things to make for Crimbo that are vegetarian. They might even be vegan, I'm not sure. Whole roasted cauliflower cheese. That looks really good, doesn't it? There's a ginger loaf cake, a festive Yule log, and mince pies with a twist. What's the twist? I haven't looked. Oh, it's got dark chocolate spread in it. And then some, of course, gingerbread men. And obviously, with the ingredients list, it says things like the ingredients are Biona coconut oil, Biona coconut sugar, Biona chickpeas, Biona agave syrup, Biona beetroot juice. So it's obviously all the recipes that's using ingredients that that are made by this group. Obviously, you don't need to use their ingredients, use whatever you've got. But yeah, I picked that up and I thought, oh, I might try something new over, not necessarily for Christmas Day, but over Christmas. And the two things that appealed are the beetroot Wellington and the whole roasted cauliflower. I love cauliflower. But of course, I hadn't thought about it, that they involve the oven. So how long is the Wellington in the oven? 1 hour and 35 minutes for the Wellington. 1 hour and 15 for the cauliflower. I'm not sure if that's all oven time. But anyway, it involves the oven, and, you know, as you know from previous videos and from last winter, like so many other folk, I haven't been using my oven. I mean, I think literally in the last 12, now probably 13 months, genuinely can't remember the last time I used it. I've maybe used it once or twice. Because of these crazy bonkers fuel prices we've been experiencing. Now I'm coming on to the fuel prices. So, I sort of mentioned before, I keep tabs. So every month when I do my meter readings and I then get a bill based on those meter readings. My readings run from the 21st of a month through to the 20th of the next month. So I've just done my reading for essentially November, but it goes from the 21st of October. So I make a note of how many units I've used and then what the charge is. Now, one of the big things is the standing charge. We've talked about this before, but the standing charge is the charge we all pay simply to be connected. And it's about £30 a month for gas and electricity. So before you've even used any fuel at all, you're paying 30 quid. So 360 quid a year just to be connected. I mean, it's a lot of money. Our fabulous Martin Lewis, who, for those outside of the UK who may not know him, he's our kind of money guru. He has a TV show, website, etc., etc. But it's more than just presenting a TV show and telling us what the best deals are at the moment. He's a huge campaigner and he's campaigned the government on various issues over the years and actually changed things for the better in some circumstances. He's actually got the government to change legislation to make things better for us, the little people. One thing he's still battling about is this standing charge. But okay, never mind. Let's put the standing charge to one side for now. Fuel prices have come down a bit, but they're still really high. And the reason I'm mentioning this today is because I sort of, for the last month, I experimented a bit on myself. Now, just to quickly recap what happened last winter, I pay £80 a month every month for my fuel. So I pay £80 in January, which is generally, I'm just looking back. Yeah, January is generally my expensive, December, January, February, the expensive months. I pay £80 a month in the middle of winter. At the height of summer, I pay £80. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose. And that means that for April, May, June, July, August, September, and even into October, I'm using quite a bit less than £80 worth. And in the winter, then I use a bit more, but it evens out. So through the summer, I build credit. And then last winter, there was a government subsidy for everybody, The government subsidy for everybody. We all got £65 a month for 6 months, so from October through till March. So in other words, my 80 and the 65, that meant I had £145 a month for my fuel. And I didn't ever go over the 145. In fact, I kept it to about 125 was my most during that time. So I continued, amazingly, to build a bit of credit through last winter and then again this summer. And I didn't usually what I would do is in the spring, any remaining credit, I sort of withdraw it from the power company, put it into my savings. I didn't do that this year though, because I thought when we come into this winter, we won't be having that £65 subsidy. I'm feeling chilly. That £65 subsidy from the government. So my credit will need to act as the £65. Does that make sense? Are you following me? There's a reason for me telling you all this. So, thinking about last winter's use, thinking about what I'll use. So am I going to match last winter's use, or should I say barely usage, and therefore keep it below that 145 mark, preferably 125. Prices have dropped a bit, not a lot, but they've dropped a bit. Can I afford to use a little bit more, but still, don't go mad? So last winter, this is what I mean, I just did an experiment for November. The results are in. So last winter, when I had that, I'm just checking again, the £125, that's based on, okay, so my electricity, usage doesn't change too much. I've got the lights on now while I'm filming. As soon as I finish filming, the lights will go off. It's a really dull day, but if I need to do any work requiring light, I'll move over towards the window to use the light there. There's enough light, but generally my electricity usage, it's the same. Light in the evening, I just use one light. I use my reading lamp, which has got an energy saving bulb in it. Not using the electric cooker. So it's basically lights and the computer. That's my electricity usage. So that's not going to change much this winter, apart from the fact that I now only have one freezer, not 3. So that should bring it down a little bit more. So that's electricity. With the gas, what I did last winter was, it was bleak. I'll be honest, it was bleak. I hate being cold. I'm not a cold person. Summer girl. What did I do? Yes. So last winter I allowed 1 hour of heating per day. That was it. Either half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. Generally it was an hour in the morning because that's when it's coldest. 1 hour in the morning before I really get going. And that's it for the day. 1 hour of heating per day and 1 bath per week. So this month I've gone to 1.5 hours of heating. Woohoo! So I'm doing 3/4 of an hour in the morning, 3/4 of an hour in the evening. So I've increased my heating use by 50%. So I've gone from, no, I've increased it, I've doubled it. So I've gone from using 3/4 of an hour last year to 1.5 hours this year. And I've gone from 1 bath a week last year to 2 baths a week this year. Good grief. So I've just had my latest bill. It's great. £66, which is in dollars is $83. Now, so like I said, I pay £80 anyway. So I think we're going to get darker. We haven't got to the darkest part of the year yet. So there is going to be a little bit more electricity use as we go into the winter. But I think from that, I could say to myself, you know what, maybe I can have, what I might try for December, because we're right at the end of November now. So for the next month, I might say do 1 more hour of heat per day. And see what my bill is at the end of December. And if it's, I reckon that would take it to about 80. If it's 80, like, that's it. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not going to go mad this winter. I'm not going to think, I'm going to use up all that credit. I'm going to start putting the oven on every day. It's back to the oven because of that lovely recipe booklet. I'm not going to start going mad with the fuel because just, it's that kind of safety net thing, isn't it? And in all honesty, that credit that I built up, I need it for something else. I've got some stonking bills coming. Very briefly, some pipes in our hallway broke. They've now been repaired. Fortunately, that's a bill that I share with the other 2 flats, so I'm only paying a third of the bill. One of our waste stacks at the back needs replacing, so that's going to be a bill. Now my fridge door has fallen off. The kitchen is dying. The fridge door is held in place by a chair at the moment, so I need to replace the fridge and its door, the cupboard door, the washing machine cupboard door, which means I'm probably going to have to replace that whole run of cupboard doors because I don't think I'm going to be able to get the same. So suddenly I'm replacing half the kitchen. Yeah, so there's some biggish bills to come over the winter. You know, it's fine. This isn't a pity party. It's really annoying. All these things are breaking all at the same time. So I have to be even more super frugal. That's why I was saying with the crumpets, they are a bit of a naughty treat, because that 45p, was it 45p or 47? 45p. I shouldn't be spending 45p. Everything needs to be saved. So yeah, I think it's just back to the fuel. The prices definitely have come down. I mean, they were just absurd last winter. However, they are still high, high. Apart from last winter, this is the highest fuel bills have been for years and years and years. That standing charge is still high. So I think it is going to be another chilly winter, but you know what? I've got all my thermals now. I've got my wrist warmers. Thank you, lovelies. I still didn't find out who the lime green pair were from, the alpaca ones. But yeah, I'm all kitted up this year. So unlike last year where we got to the beginning of December, we're in that freeze. I couldn't stand it. So I had that quite a big spend on thermals, on a pair of slippers, because 3 pairs of socks wasn't doing it anymore. I wear slippers now. I'm a granny. So I'm stocked up on all that. I've got blankets, I've got my quilts, I've got all that bit of kit that I need. It's just a bit frustrating. If all of that other stuff hadn't broken, I might be a bit more generous to myself with the fuel, but never mind. Doesn't matter. It won't be as bad as it's not going to be as bad as last winter. And I do have that safety net of the credit. So, that's great. And that's why, people say to me, oh, you should treat yourself more often, Vivi. No, that's why I don't. So that when big bills come up, like pipes, like the waste stack out the back, like the kitchen, when things like that happen, I can manage those situations. Of course, that it's about £500 of credit for my fuel. Of course, I'd rather spend that on a combination of putting the heating on more often, or maybe even, a night out, blow a bit. But flip side of that is I've got that available to help me out with the kitchen and the waste stack. Good stuff. Now, talking of being really, really super frugal, I've been a bit naughty. I've never done this before. I've bought something for the shop. I'm going to keep it. There have been so many times when I've bought things for the shop and I thought, oh, that's lovely. I wouldn't mind having that myself, but I don't. I'm really, really good. It's a great way of getting retail therapy, buying things for my shop rather than buying things for me. But it's one of the tablecloths. Remember, it ended up being a mammoth ironing session. I think I ended up doing 6 hours of ironing that weekend. Great, it warmed me up. And I so love my new iron. Excuse me. Oh, and thank you to everyone. Excuse me a sec. Thank you everyone who got in touch to say, Vivi, the top of the steam, the steam engine, the top of the steam, the reservoir, you can put your iron on it. It's like silicone. It's made for being able to put your iron on. It won't melt. Thank you. And a lot of folks suggested I can get a silicone mat to put on my ironing board, just if that makes it ergonomically more easy, and that there's loads available and they're probably a lot cheaper than the Pulte own brand one. So yeah, I was having a look at those online the other day, and I was going to say I don't need one at the moment, and I've just suddenly thought I actually do, so I'll probably get on with ordering one of those, and yes, much cheaper than Pulte. So thank you for mentioning that. Brilliant. Anyway, back to the ironing. So all those tablecloths, they'd all had a soak overnight to try and lift any stains, a little bit of a scrub, then a wash, then pressing. And there's one that, well, there are a couple of marks I couldn't get out at all, and I thought folk would forgive them. However, as I mentioned in that video, all these linens I've been finding and collecting over the last few months, actually, probably since the tail end of summer, in the summer, and so they've just been sat in a pile in the bathroom next to my main laundry basket. They've been sat separately because waiting to wash them once I'd bought an iron. So I got rather accustomed to seeing this particular one. I'll show it to you in a second. And I just fell in love with it over time. Every time I went in and out of the bathroom, it would catch my eye and I'd think, oh, you're so cheerful, you're so happy. Yeah, yes, I speak to inanimate objects, so what? And then after, excuse me, lip smacking, after having done the soak and the wash, there were a couple of marks that just wouldn't budge. And I just thought, you know what? I love it. I'm keeping it. The surprise thing is, though, that it's in my least favourite colour ever. You'll have heard me speaking in other videos when I'm sewing, doing anything with fabric, decor choices, what have you. I really don't like yellow, the colour yellow. But thinking about it, I don't like lemon yellow, acid yellow, those kind of cold, hard yellows. But I do love, I don't know how well the camera's going to get it, this kind of custard yellow. You see, there's one of the marks. This kind of custard yellow. Let me give you a bigger flash of it. Oh, it's really jolly, isn't it? How much can you see? It's so cheerful and jolly. Now, it's quite a big one. It's a big rectangular one. It's really thick cotton. I don't know if you can get a sense of that. If I scrunch it up, you can can you get a sense of its thickness? It's a really, really robust cloth. Actually, I'm going to keep it on my knees because it can warm me up a bit. So here's the thing. How do we broach this subject? I don't know how to say it. I don't really kind of go in for all that manifestation. If you say it, it will happen. Put it out to the universe and make it happen. I don't believe in any of that because, honestly, I could say over and over again, £1 million, £1 million, £1 million. It ain't going to happen. You know, I don't play the lottery. I'm not a gambler. So it's not going to happen. But I wrote a word down because I thought it would help me. Ah, yes, that's it. So I don't try and manifest things, but I do live with intent. That's my word, intent. So, for example, putting it out to the universe. Oh, I'd like a 2-bed flat with a garden. Put it out to the universe, nothing's going to happen. However, with intent, if I literally tell every single one of my friends in the neighbourhood, if I say to everybody I meet, I'm looking for a 2-bed ground floor flat, probably 1 bed in terms of affordability, but ideally 2-bed, even if the second bed is tiny, so I can have a sewing room, shop, stock room, packaging, all that kind of stuff. If I tell every single friend in the neighbourhood that that's what I'm after, please keep a lookout, and if you hear of anything in your street, let me know. That has more of a chance of being successful for me than me just putting it out to the universe. So I'm doing it with intent. I'm saying it to real people who can really get back to me. And I've been given a couple of leads already. It turns out they weren't right for me for whatever reason, but because I've told people, hopefully that will come back. Great. There's also the intent of, it's that thing of, I think, sort of living with intent. We have our dreams, don't we? We have our dreams, but living with intent turns the dream from a dream to a goal, as in something to actually achieve rather than just dreaming about. So in terms of my future home, I don't picture it specifically. I don't have an image in my mind of how it looks, because I think that leads to heartbreak. Because actually, if I do picture something, what I picture is not in my price range. I'd need 2 million. It's more that I picture moments and feelings and nooks, the look of a particular little nook. In other words, what I picture are things that I could achieve in pretty much any property. It's more about that look and the feel of what I would do with my new home. And that's where the tablecloth comes in. If you build it, they will come. So one of the disappointments in this flat has always been that it's not really big enough for entertaining. I mean, I do, Richard and Paul come over, obviously, and we eat. But I don't have space. What I'm trying to say is I don't really have space for a dining table. And it's one of my absolute joys in life is to sit around a dining table with friends eating. It's utterly simple, isn't it? I love those meals that go on for hours and hours and hours, long into the night, long since the food has been finished, but we're all still sitting at the table, just chatting, drinking, maybe even playing a game, a board game, a game of cards, whatever it is. But it's that idea of the table as the gathering place, as this kind of cauldron of love and companionship and sharing. So for my next home, I would love it if I had a dining table indoors. I think, though, with my budget, that's probably not realistic. It's going to be quite a small home. But what I hope to do is have a garden. And even if it's a small garden, I know that this is a definite must-have in my head, that I can have a dining table in the garden with this as the cloth. Oh, because it is that thing of, if you build it, they will come. So many of my friends, I was thinking about this the other day, so many of my friends have moved out of London. They've already gone. Did I work it out? Yeah. So when I think back to, 30 years ago, my early 20s, we were all moving to London. All my friends lived in London, all of them. We used to see each other, regularly, nights out, nights in, dinners around the table, that sort of thing. But yeah, within the last 10 years, I think 10 years in particular, they've all gone. Literally all my friends have moved out of London. The only friends I have in London now are Richard and Paul. Obviously, they are more recent friends. And I've got friends around here, of course, but not that kind of same really intimate friends. So what I would love when I have my new home is to have space for a dining table, because then I have the perfect excuse to say, come to me for the day, for a weekend, whatever it is. but come so we can sit around the table like old times, chew the fat, well, chew the olive oil, chew the fat, talk long into the night, drink wine, gossip, laugh, cry, whatever it is, all around a table. And if you're sitting around a table, you need a tablecloth. So, yeah, like I said, it's not necessarily about manifesting. It's about, thinking and living with intent now for the next home and starting to sort of build it, really. Not that I'm going to build a home. I mean, I'm not going to build a house, the building. That's it. I'm not going to build a house, but I am going to be building a home. I'm dead excited about that. Right, I think I've been waffling for I'm getting really, really cold. I need to go and put another layer on. I've got thermals on, but I think just sitting still. I'm just looking at my little note. Make sure I haven't forgotten anything I wanted to mention today. No, that was it. It was just about the fuel prices and this naughty act of keeping it. But it's so cheerful, isn't it? I mean, it says, doesn't that say summer to you? And yeah, it says summer to me. Realistically, looking ahead to next summer, knowing just how long things take in this country in terms of house move, I doubt I'll be in a new place by next summer. You know, even if with a fair wind, if I manage to get this place on the market in, say, April, even if someone walked through the door on the first day and said, yes, I'll buy it, well, I've still got to find somewhere, you know, that I'll start house hunting. But even if by some miracle someone said yes to this place at the beginning of April and I find a place at the beginning of April, it would probably take 3 or 4 months, April, May, June. Oh, it might be possible. But look, I'm not holding out for that. I'm being realistic and thinking that probably, I think realistically it would be next autumn going into next winter before I'm into my new place. Please, 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 please let everything happen, okay? Yes. So there we go. Oh, I've just remembered something. One last word. The lease issue. Oh my goodness. I was talking about this with Paul the other day and I said, I don't know, I seem to attract rubbish from professionals. You know, the washing machine was installed so wonky it's made the door come off. No luck with that. The whole nonsense with M&S. This lease issue, honestly, if I had been so sloppy with my work when I was a nurse, someone could have died. I got in touch with Land Registry again recently, and I wrote an email. It wasn't, I was going to say it was quite snippy. It wasn't really that it was snippy, but it was firm and it was polite and courteous, but it was firm to say, I am now really fed up with this situation. It's been 2.5 years. What on earth is going on? I need my lease, my extended lease. I need it to sell. And they got back to me really quickly, actually, to say, we sent it to the solicitor in April this year. So then I got in touch with the solicitor and he said, I think they might have sent it to such and such solicitors, but that account has now closed. He's moved from there. He's moved to a different firm, whatever it is. So all of those accounts have been closed and he's at this new firm. So I said, right, okay, you have to sort it. You have to get me my lease. If all those accounts have been closed, surely, anyway, I've put it back to the solicitor now to say this needs sorting once and for all. And I think he's a bit contrite as well, like, oh, sorry, this was never brought to my attention. Basically, it's down to that old thing again of I'm having to chase because you just can't trust professionals anymore, it seems. But what I was really pleased about, I was talking to the lass downstairs When I moved in here, it was a 100-year lease. So when we did the extension, it was 81 years. Once a lease goes below 80 years, just to say very quickly in the UK. So for those who don't understand this lease situation, in a nutshell, I own my flat. I own the bricks and mortar. I don't own the land that the building sits on. I rent the land. It's not terribly expensive to rent each year. That's not an issue. But I rent it. This is common practice all over the UK, especially with flats, apartments, however you want to call them. You own the property, but you don't own the land. Very common. Don't be shocked by it. Now, in terms of getting a mortgage on a property, once a lease goes below 80 years, most banks won't give a mortgage. I mean, it's silly because no one's going to live in this flat for 80 years. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The banks won't give a mortgage. Whoever buys my flat is probably going to be a first-time buyer, and therefore they're going to have a mortgage. This is not somewhere you come to downsize and retire because of all the stairs. It's going to be a young person, first-time buy, you know, similar to me. It wasn't a first-time buy for me, but anyway. So they're going to need a mortgage. And so if it goes below 80 years, no bank would give a mortgage. Therefore, I would not be able to sell this property. So that's why we needed to extend it. I thought we'd extended it back to 100 years, which by the time I get it will mean that it's down to 97 and a half years. I mean, and by the time I market the property, 97 years. Ridiculous. But yeah, I was speaking to the lass downstairs and saying how I was just bringing her up to speed about my lease, because she got hers in January, but then she did her own chasing as well. It's like, why doesn't solicitor do it? Anyway. But she reminded me that we've extended to 125 years, which is even better. So by the time I get it, or like by the time I come to market the property, the lease will be at 122 years. Yeah, because it's 2.5 years now. 3 years by next, so yeah, it'll be down to 122 years, which will be, I need my hanky again, which will be more than satisfactory for any mortgage provider. They'll be perfectly happy with 122 years. Sagaville. Honestly, it's like in the last few days, just trying to get the lease sorted out, that waste pipe, the internal pipes that we've now had fixed, the kitchen falling apart. I'm just like, please, I would love that, you know, back to that manifesting things. Do you think if I put it to the universe, fix the kitchen, fix the waste stack, will I manifest it? No. Just going to have to knuckle down, start calling people. With the kitchen, I'm going to wait till January. Obviously, that's going to make sense for me to go to the kitchen showrooms and all that stuff in January, and hopefully get a little bit of money off, because it'll be the excuse me, January sales. I don't know that it'll be too much. Oh, excuse me. I don't know that I'll get too much money off for the fact that I'm not buying a complete kitchen. I'll be buying the fridge and 4 doors and the cost of having it fitted. I'm going to pay for someone to fit it all. I'm not doing it, but also hopefully I've just thought, actually, if I pay for having it fitted, does that mean they'll bring it up the stairs? Because I can't get up on my own. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So I'm going to experiment through December by using a little bit more heating and see where that brings me in my bills, and see if I can still keep it under my normal 80, and therefore keep that chunk of the £500 chunk of credit to pay for the new fridge and maybe one of the doors. I don't know how far it'll go. Just get it all done. Get it done and dusted. And you know what it's all about? It's about just sort of keep moving forward, keep getting to that goal of getting the flat on the market, that goal of moving next year, that goal of closing some chapters and opening some new ones. High time, can't wait. All right, lovelies, right, I'm going. I need to put another layer on. So until the next one, please, all of you, Stay well, stay cozy if you can. Just put another layer on. Put another layer on before you reach for the thermostat. One more layer might just be enough. I'm going to put my fingerless mitts on. That might be just enough. Until the next one, cheerio.